going on, guys? It's Zach. Hope you all are doing well. Welcome to the very first episode of the Tech Time Machine. I'm really excited to bring this series to you guys. It's basically a series where I'm going to be taking a look back at some really awesome tech, whether it be a phone, a tablet, a laptop, wherever it may be. If it has to do with tech, it can be on the show. But what a better way to kick off this series than with the first Android phone, the T-Mobile G1, also known as the HTC Dream. So yes, the T-Mobile G1, the first Android phone released, I believe, in September 2008. So quite a while ago. I actually got mine a little later. Actually, I think I got mine in late 2009, I believe, or early 2010, one of the two. And I was about 13 years old, about 12 to 13 years old. And this was my first taste of Android, and I actually got it when it had 2.2 Froyo on it. If you guys remember the CyanogenMod movement, when it came to the T-Mobile G1, man, that was pretty crazy, especially when you were able to get gingerbread on it. And I believe somebody was able to get, which one was it? Jelly Bean, was it? I think somebody was able to get Jelly Bean on the G1 quite a while ago. But yes, this is the first Android phone, and just look at how thick this phone is. Yes, this is a really thick phone. If you compare it here to the Google Pixel, you can see, yeah, that's really thick. That's a very thick phone. This is just absolutely insane. Then you have the chin here, kind of an odd design choice, but apparently it was supposed to curve around your face for phone calls and get the microphones closer to your mouth. But yeah, as we can see, phones don't really do that anymore, so that wasn't really a necessary move, but you know, they were trying at the time. And speaking of trying, they really tried to make this phone the Swiss Army knife of phones, if you will. This phone had pretty much everything that every other phone out there had all in one. So you had a nice large touchscreen right here. This is a rather massive 3.2 inch display with a resolution of 320 by 480. That is, yeah, I don't really need to say anything about that. You guys can just go ahead and laugh at that. And if you take a look at the back here, we have an incredibly crisp 3.15 megapixel camera. Yeah, 3.15. I don't get that, but yeah, so you can see the housing there is cracked, but it still works, and we'll take a look at the camera in a little bit. There's our speakerphone right there as well, so that's really interesting. If you take a look at this side, you can probably see that it does have a dedicated camera button. I remember a bunch of phones had this, but not so much anymore. I kind of like that, but I don't really know if that's really necessary because people are taking pictures with the touchscreen, or if anything with the volume buttons. Now, speaking about buttons, we do have the volume rocker here on the left hand side, and taking a look at the front here, we have a bunch of buttons, and a lot of these buttons will either be on your capacitive buttons, your navigation keys there on the screen, or your launcher's dock. We have a send call button here, which brings you straight to your phone, an end call button, which counts as your power button as well, a back button, your home button, a menu button, my goodness, and you also have a trackball. Shout out to those of you that actually used this on the G1. And interestingly enough, they actually brought this to the Nexus one. If you guys remember that, it lit up and everything. It was actually kind of cool the way it looked. It was an LED notification indicator, which on this phone is actually up here in the speaker grill. But it was cool because it did give users another option to navigate the home screen and, you know, web pages and stuff like that in case they didn't want to use the touchscreen for whatever reason. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the software. This is running Android 1.0. Yes, Android 1.0. We are currently on 7.1.1, I believe, and this is Android 1. So this is pretty crazy. You can unlock the phone by pressing the menu button right here, and it brings you straight to this wonderful, gorgeous home screen. So as you can probably tell, home screens have come a long way since the first version of Android. That's pretty crazy right there, as you can see there. Size comparison next to the Pixel, and the way things look has also changed quite a bit. Well, this is a little embarrassing. The phone actually died on me, and I actually have to plug it in using a mini USB cable. So that's interesting. As you can tell, mini USB, way outdated. And I guess this is also a good time to mention the size of the battery in this phone. We're looking at a 1,150 milliamp hour battery. So yeah, by today's standards, we're actually looking at something like 3 times that much. And as you can see, it actually died on me while I was recording, and it's at 10%, so that's pretty interesting. But of course, as time goes on, this phone is really old, coming up on 10 years old now. Of course, the battery is going to degrade. Now, in terms of the software experience, we're actually looking at a lot of the things that we still see in Android today. So you can kind of see where some of the features that we get today were born. So here on Android 1.0, we do have the notification shade. And we actually didn't even get this on iOS for a very long time. As you can see, it was here on the first Android phone, so you can see where this pretty much came from. Yeah, of course, no quick settings or anything like that, no expandable notifications or anything like that, but we do have a notification area where you can check out, obviously, all all of our notifications. And of course, we have widgets that you can move around the home screen, which is really, really cool. It was really nice to have widgets, on your home screen, especially Google search. And that was Google's main thing going on with Android is, one quick search on the internet, boom, one tap and you're there. You also have apps that you can move around wherever you want. You're not locked to some crazy grid. You can move them wherever you want. You also had the app drawer. The app drawer was pretty cool as well. You literally swipe up or you can tap on it and you can get to your preloaded applications. Here on Android 1.0, we also have the Android Market, which is pretty cool. I don't think it's supported anymore, so we can't really check out all of the applications that it had. As you can see, there's really nothing there. But what's interesting is that I see Android Wear there, so not too sure how that works. But yeah, so you had games, search, my downloads. There's really nothing in here, yeah, so it's not really working too well. Probably not used anymore. Actually, you see it says Android Market Beta there, so that's pretty interesting. We also have the long press on the home screen to add widgets, change the wallpaper, add a shortcut, or just add an application. Check out some of the wallpapers that we have here. I think one of the ones that I like to use was probably, if I can find it, I don't know where it is, that's really interesting. It was this one right here. I like this beach one and it looked good on this phone. And so yeah, that's pretty much that. Now, another great thing to mention is the RAM. A lot of people really like talking about the RAM in today's smartphones. Like the OnePlus 3T, for example, has 6 gigs of RAM. So just take that into consideration when I mention that this has 192 megabytes of RAM. That right there is absolutely insane. But of course, back then, the spec sheet was pretty darn impressive. And for those of you that are interested in the GPU, the graphics processing unit, it actually had the Adreno 130. So yeah, just really fun to look at some of these specifications on this phone. Before we get into the camera, because I think that's going to be pretty fun, let's go ahead and check out like the music application, for example. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. I love it. Of course, I do have an SD card in here. I guess it's corrupt. But yeah, now a lot of you guys are probably commenting right now, or probably did, why haven't you shown off the G1's main attraction? And honestly, I don't know. I've just been putting it off. Here is what has made this phone so impressive and so cool, and here's its main appeal. The slide out keyboard. Now, this was what made it the Swiss Army knife of phones. Not only did it flip out like that, it had a full-on touchscreen, and it also had a trackball similar to BlackBerries at the time, and it had a full QWERTY keyboard that, didn't get in the way when you were using the phone. So if you're just browsing on the internet, you can use the phone like so, but if you wanted to type something, you have a full-on QWERTY keyboard. Complete with enter key and all that stuff. So this is really, really cool. And to be honest, it wasn't that bad typing on this thing. I will admit it was pretty nice. So let's go ahead and try typing something here. Oh goodness, this is a test. You kind of have to press the space bar a little harder than the rest of the keys, but yeah, it wasn't that bad at all, and you get used to it pretty quickly, and it worked really, really well. And of course, as you can see here, it does work. So at the time, in my opinion, I actually thought all of these things combined was pretty cool. Of course, I didn't really use the trackball all that often. In fact, I didn't use it at all, to be honest, but the keyboard was really nice to have. Just flipping out like that was really awesome, as I fail to close it here. Now, before we close out the video, let's go ahead and take a look at what kind of camera quality we can get. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab a little Android dude over here, and I'm gonna see if I can, actually I can't even take a picture because the SD card in here is corrupt, but you can get a good idea of the camera quality here. It's 3.15 megapixels for the time was probably pretty good, but yeah, it won't let me take any pictures right now. But as you can see there, it just, yeah, of course, by today's standards, this is nothing. This is considered a potato. But as far as other specifications go, this does actually have Corning Gorilla Glass. Like just Corning Gorilla Glass, nothing else, no number after it. This is the first version apparently of Corning Gorilla Glass. You also had to use a mini SIM, not even a micro or a nano SIM, which is pretty much what everybody's using today. You had to use a mini SIM, so that's pretty crazy. It had Bluetooth 2.0, and the charging port down here actually doubles as the headphone jack. You had to get some sort of adapter to use any sort of headphones with this. Does that sound familiar? Huh? iPhone 7, but I'm gonna go ahead and rip off the back here so you can see, oh my goodness, as you can see the removable batteries. You might be able to tell this thing has swollen up just a little bit. There's the SIM card slot right there. My gosh, SIM cards were huge. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and rip out the battery. Sorry, T-Mobile G1, but Yeah, take a look at that battery. It's pretty swollen right now. And something kind of funny I thought about when I put the cover back on the back of the phone here was when this phone was still part of mainstream technology out there. Some people, I saw a lot of people walking around with this phone, and I even saw one person with like a black front and a red back, or a gold front and a white back, or vice versa. And it was kind of funny, because a lot of people wanted to change the colors of it. And it kind of just reminded me how much I miss removable backs with removable battery. Okay, you know what? That's actually a complete lie. It's not necessarily that I miss it, because here on the Google Pixel XL, which I can't even pick up right now, I don't miss that at all. But I guess it's just the nostalgia rush of ripping out the battery, especially when dealing with custom ROMs and stuff like that. Especially with this phone trying to get Froyo and Gingerbread on it. But pulling this phone out and talking about it again just really brought back a whole bunch of memories. And I guess I'll show you guys, speaking of memory, I'll show you guys the SD card slot, which apparently mine in there has gone bad, so that's pretty unfortunate. But it's pretty crazy to see how far Android phones have come. As you can see here, go ahead and bring them close to you guys so you can see it properly. But yes, it's really crazy how far these phones have come. As you can see here, just differences all across the board, and I'm really looking forward to what Google has next in store with the Google Pixel 2. But this is the T-Mobile G1 or HTC Dream, whichever one you want to go with. But definitely let me know down below in the comments what your favorite memory of this phone was, if you in fact have any. But I know a lot of you guys out there definitely do. This is the first Android phone, September 2008. Yes, this is an historic phone right here. I really like this phone a lot because it kickstarted something that we all know and love today as Android. So that does it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know what you guys think of the Tech Time Machine series. I have a whole bunch of phones lined up to come up next after the G1 here in this series, so definitely stay tuned for that. But I really value your feedback, so go ahead and release your thoughts down there in the comment section, and I'll make sure to check them out. But other than that, that does it for me. I'll talk to you guys in the next video, and thanks for watching.